Hello and welcome everyone. In this video we'll be talking about the antiques and collectibles business, why you should get in there and why it is such a profitable business for you to get inside of it. Now, for you to sell antiques and collectibles, you have to understand one thing. You're not going to have thousands of clients. You might have one or two clients who are willing at any given moment to buy the item that you're selling. Therefore, it is not something that you can get into and make quick cash right away, but you can make a lot of money if you're patient and if you know what you're doing. Now, to learn what you're doing and to know what you're doing, you gotta have the book, such as this one. This is a complete encyclopedia right here, Miller's Antique Price Guide. So it tells you how much the item is actually worth, and you can go and study it. You don't have to buy your own copy. You can just go to the library itself and study the whole thing, read the whole thing from start to finish if you want to actually save money. But I do suggest for you to find something like this very cheap on Amazon itself. Get the older edition. It doesn't matter what edition you get, the price is kind of accurate. It doesn't change that much over the years, although the newer editions they have and they cover different things every single year. They have other things that they might actually cover, so it's good to have a few different editions, a few different versions of this book itself. Now, this version itself that I got for me, and it is important for me, it is from 2007 when I was doing a lot of antiques and collectibles. But then what I did with this book, I just put it on my vehicle. So every time I go to a place and I see a garage sale, what I do is I get this book out and I do a quick reference. So I make sure what I'm getting is actually vintage. It is worth for me to resell for a lot more money, because I'm not going to have somebody who is going to evaluate this for me. It's going to be either me or the person I'm buying it from. And the last person you want to evaluate the item that you're buying is going to be the seller himself. He's just going to say it's worth way more than it actually is. And they always do that. And for you to keep them honest, you gotta have the book. But don't get the book out. They don't need to see that that's what you're doing. In fact, that's the last thing you want them to know, is that you're gonna be taking this item and reselling it for a lot more money. So you go in on a garage sale, you find the item that you're looking for, you look it up in the book, and if you find how much it's actually worth, and you find it might be worth a lot of money, you buy it for a very cheap price if you can. Then you resell it. Another thing you can do is go online. This is why having a smartphone is so important for you in this business. You gotta go online, look it up very fast. How much is this item actually worth? If it is worth plenty of money, this is great. That means you can go and resell it for a lot more cash. If there is a flooding of the same item in the marketplace, you're not going to be able to make so much money. You gotta wait until the price is going to go up. Case in point is very simple. Cameras. I love getting cameras and reselling them for more money, but sometimes you will get a camera, it looks very sophisticated, like this one looks vintage, it looks like it might be worth a lot of money. It is vintage, it is worth some money, but it's not worth a lot. This item right here is worth around 80 bucks with the box itself that it came with, because it is saturating the market. There is so many of them that were made during that particular year that it's not worth as much as it should be worth. Therefore, the more you wait, the more the price of antiques and vintage actually goes up. The reason for that is quite simple. There is less and less of them that are in working order. People take them, they break them, they use them, they take pictures with them, and then of course there is less of them available because they don't make them anymore. Or somebody might do something on Instagram, this item could go and become the coolest thing ever again. Who knows? It could get trending. People could go back to those vintage cameras again. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. So the trend could totally change for those cameras. The price could go exponentially higher. It could happen with any of those niche vintage markets. That's why it's so important for you to post the items on sale and to wait until the price for it goes to the price that it should get. So the next thing that we'll be talking about is this. Guess what this is? This is a vintage tool. And this is a primitive actually. A primitive is something that is made around in the 1800s or so. And what you have to do is to find an item that is very, very old, and then you want to make money on it. Now, this item itself, although it is so old, It doesn't mean it's going to be worth a lot of money. In fact, this is probably estimated to be worth around $30, but still, that's a good cash for something I found for free. Somebody just trashed it. People don't really collect something this old. They think it's worthless. Sometimes it is, but at other times I found very good treasures that people thought they were something that is worthless whatsoever. So with something this old, there is no identification mark anywhere on it. So it pays for you to do research, because you never know. You might find that this item is worth way more than it actually is. So the first thing I looked at this is like all made out of wood. The rest of it is all made of metal. I couldn't find much identification marks. I looked everywhere and I couldn't find until I found this W sign right here. There's another thing very interesting here. There is a seller mark right on the bottom. So somebody tries to make this a personal item a long time ago. So they carved a seller mark right on it. So it's going to become his tool versus someone else's tool. That's how you kind of name it before markers actually existed. So it is that old. Another thing is, because it is so old and vintage, identification mark is actually the W right here. Somebody couldn't have the imprint on it and to write it is made whatever and on imprinted on the metal. They couldn't do it back then. So what they did is they put a bunch of metal right here that makes a W, which stands for the company that makes it back then. So I had to look it up, and I found similar tools like this, and I found it on eBay. Then I made more and more research, and I found more about what this item stands for. I found someone else who actually made the research for me on eBay already. Sometimes you have this made for you. Sometimes someone else is going to do the research for you for the same exact item that you're selling, which is so cool, because you don't have to do much research then. All you have to do is compare what you're selling versus what he is selling, make sure they're the same identical item. Then you gotta double check. You gotta see if there is more listings of the same exact item on eBay itself, just to make sure you're doing price comparison, you're doing item comparison, you're doing the research comparison, because altogether you want to make sure the item that you're selling is going to be authentic, real. So this one is dated from around 1890s or so, and it looks to be a vintage shape, I would say. For what it is selling, this is not such a bad shape after all. That's how they age, that's how they look like, and all of the items that I looked at look kind of similar. So $30 for this is the price that I could maximum get for it. The camera itself was around $80, and I'm still trying to sell it. So those things takes time. It's not like you go list them up and then you get paid right away. No, with vintage and antiques and collectibles, patience is the number one thing you have to do. You gotta list a lot of them up there. You gotta wait, and then after a few weeks I'll have 1 or 2 sales with the vintage and collectibles. But then again, you have to understand, you gotta do other eBay business as well. You're doing wholesale, drop shipping, everything combined. All those other businesses all combined into one account. Now you have volume play into it. So you have the vintage, a bunch of listings that are vintage, then you have a bunch of listings that are wholesale, and then you have a lot of listings that are drop shipping. All combined, you're gonna have a lot more volume coming in, and have a lot more people who are gonna buy your items, and then you're not gonna have sales right away, but you will get more and more sales as the time goes, as you keep on listing more items, as you get better at the listings too. This is the key too. The key is the price itself. You have to have some pricing that are pretty attractive for people to actually buy. And then you have a variety of different pricing. You have very cheap pricing, you have a lot more profit margin on some items, you have a lot less profit margin on other items, just to attract more people to your listings. Eventually, as you get better at everything that you do on eBay itself, the money will start rolling in. It's not something that right away starts with eBay. It takes time to build the business. It takes time for you to get better at what you're doing. But above all, you have to keep on doing what you're doing. You have to get so much better than the rest of the competition that eventually people want to buy from you. That's what happened to me. That's how I'm getting a lot of sales, versus other people who are doing the same exact thing are not getting that many. And for that, for you to be successful, you gotta learn from the best. From people such as myself who know and been in this business for a while.